Ones that were like, you know, recently discovered or not visible?
We're doing the discovery.
When I was a kid, I always heard about Mount Palomar.
Yeah, that's one of the other classic California observatories.
Uh-huh. And this is, how do you guys rate in comparison to world discoveries and all that?
Lick Observatory has historically been one of the most important observatories in the world.
My goodness, yeah.
For instance, with the recent thing, we have the world's first and only solid-state deformable mirror at the moment for adaptive optics. We developed the technique of laser guide star for adaptive optics, which is now used around the world. We, you know, so it's more of a, we develop the tools and techniques that are then exported to observatories around the world. Bob Kibrick, who developed our dome encoder, I don't think that there's an observatory in the world that doesn't use that technique.
So you're really doing research for development of the systems?
Yeah. I mean, we you know, what we had I think the world's first artificial iodine spectral reference.
Okay.
Yes, the Smithsonian wants it as soon as we're done with it.
Okay, cool.
And so we developed, of the first, like, 20 planets found around other solar systems, which was not that long ago, that we really didn't know that there were other planets circling other stars. I mean, we knew there kind of
we probably suspected it, right?
Yeah, we kind of knew that the odds were excellent. I mean,
yeah.
It was a vanishingly small possibility that it wasn't that way, but we couldn't prove it.
Right.
So with the iodine spectral reference, we could prove it. So of the first like 100 planets discovered in other solar systems, we were responsible for like 80.
Amazing.
So all of that on the tiniest little shoestring budget.
Although
the Shane telescope that you just visited was after Mount Palomar, the 200-inch. The Shane was for about 15 years the world's second largest telescope.
So that one was before. That's the 40-inch?
No, the 120.
That's the 120.
Up at the main building.
Oh, so the Shane building I just visited is the 40-inch?
No, that's the 120.
And that's the longest.
That is the largest telescope.
The largest.
Right.
And size means more enlargement.
Aperture, no, it doesn't. It means more collecting area. So more. I mean, there is the factor of resolution, but there's also just light gathering. How many photons do you collect?
Wow.
Because actually, mostly, we're not interested in an image. We use a relatively poor guide camera to get set up on the target, but most, I'd say at least 80%, if not more, of scientific data taken around here is spectra.
Spectra.
So you bring the light in and you break it up in a prism. You've seen the whole break light down.
Right.
Well, it turns
RGB,
out that if you break it down finely enough, that each color of light is representative of a particular atom, a particular element that is excited to the point of radiation. So by looking at the spectra, you can actually determine the composition of a sun.
Okay.
How much helium there is in the sun, how much hydrogen there is in the sun, how much oxygen, and other things. And that is far more interesting than, yes, there's a sun, it's kind of
a thing showing light is bouncing off of it.
Right.
I see. And more like evidence.
Yeah.
Because you could manipulate the other in so many ways. Could be a dust on the top of the lens or something.
Yeah, it tells us a lot about what that star is made of, what that supernova is made of, which will let you know how old it is, how big it is,
Does it do it in real time?
No.
So it's more like you collect, what do you spend an hour or so for?
But between, if you're just kind of looking to see if you are getting spectral shift, red shift to that there's a planet and it's kind of nearby, you might spend 3 minutes on a target with the 120 inch.
Okay.
On the other hand, you're looking at a burnt out supernova and it's fairly faint. 5 hours.
I see. The further and dimmer it is, the more.
And that
exposure.
5 hours, you'll take that repeatedly because you need a bit of a sample size.
And then you're probably having to calculate for movement.
Well, the
Including the Earth.
telescope actually tracks the object.
So it locks onto a target and.
Yeah, that is the telescope operator's job.
But wouldn't the movement of Earth be significant enough, even over hours?
Oh yeah, well that's why you guide on the object. You're moving the telescope constantly.
So because the Earth is turning, and because
the whole universe is in motion, the telescope has to be in motion also.
But it can't move enough to compensate for that.
Yep.
It does.
Yep.
Because the Earth is spinning all the way around, so it's got to be like within, I would think, seconds.
Well, we can only guide.
Can only guide so far.
Theoretically,
obviously.
we could stay on an object if we had a nice dark night and we caught it when the